It is 7 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order. If you would rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excuse me. We are about to start the carrying and privilege of the floor, and there is a short statement I would like to read just to remind people about what privilege of the hearing of the floor is and what it is not. Although state law does not require us to hold a public comment section, we have chosen to do so because we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues. Having said that, please note that the board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed to be a discussion. Accordingly, please do not expect the board to respond to your concerns and questions tonight. This is because we take your concerns and questions seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research any issues that might be needed. We will, however, respond to your questions and concerns at a future meeting or have the proper staff member get back to you. I would also like to point out that under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to entertain any comments or questions about school personnel. Please know, however, that we take personnel concerns very seriously. On these matters, we would ask that you go through the proper administrative channels. Anyone who is here to address the board tonight is able to do so for a maximum of 5 minutes. And when you are ready to speak, if you would please give your name and address so that we can get back to you as needed. Sir, I saw your hand.
So I just have a couple of questions for the board tonight. My name is Matthew Potter. I live at 116 Bruce Street in Scotia. Given my recent experiences with my son's school administration, I have a few questions that I'm very eager to receive answers to. Number one, restorative practices are supposed to be used as interventions that require students to own the problem and reflect on the impact of their behavior. They are also used to encourage schools to take proactive approach in nurturing healthy social behavior in students. So my first question to you is, why does this school district not have a restorative practices policy that is strictly adhered to before punitive measures are taken when disciplining a student? And what are you going to do to correct the issue? Number two, why is the administration in my son's school so quick on taking punitive approach when administering discipline rather than following a commitment to treat each student fairly, with respect and without prejudice based on either a protected class or prior behavioral issues? Where is the sensitivity to each student's needs? The attitude of the leadership in this school is a direct reflection of the district leadership. So what have you as leaders done to change the apathy of the school administration towards students and the attitude of disdain towards parents who dare ask questions that they have every right to ask? The New York Attorney General and New York State Board of Education required each and every school district in this state to create and follow their own DEI framework, meaning DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, is supposed to be in the very fabric of how this school district operates at every level. So where is our DEI policy? Why do we not have one, and what do you plan to do about it? The district's policies and procedures outline every potential punitive action as under administrative discretion. This is not an equitable practice. This leaves rooms for bias in each and every decision that will have a direct negative impact on a student and their educational record. This makes it completely permissible to treat each student differently and not equally. And the fact that the policy outline is left to be so ambiguous tells me that this was done deliberately so that those making poor decisions have no way to truly be held accountable for their poor decision making. This is a major problem. What do you intend to do to fix this? I will be forwarding my list of questions to each and every board member directly, along with the superintendent, as I would strongly prefer to receive the answers to my questions in writing. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much, sir. We look forward to getting those questions so that we can address them for you. Anybody else like to speak this evening? All right, seeing no one, I will close the hearing and privilege of the floor, and we will move on to our presentation for this evening. We have a special education update from our Director of Pupil Personnel Services and the Instructional Administrator for Special Education, Katie Miguel and Anthony Coney. We're already up here as the speaker.
Good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent Swartz, and Cabinet members. I'm Katie Magel, Director of Pupil Personnel Services.
And I'm Anthony Piccone, Instructional Administrator for Special Education Services, and we are here tonight to present the department's program review. Our presentation will include an overview of special education programming and budget, a review of department data, and a summary of departmental strengths, challenges, and areas of focus. We will start with an overview of our program. The Pupil Personnel Service, or PPS department, offers a continuum of special education programs and services for students ages 3 through 21, ranging from the least restrictive to a more restrictive environment. The continuum provides opportunities to maximize the student's access to general education. This chart shows the continuum of, did I go back? Oh, I hit it twice.
Oh, no, we switched the order.
I think we're good. Go one more. All right. Sorry about the mix-up there. I apologize. This chart shows the continuum of special education services offered in the district and which programs are located in each school. This year, we developed a new 15-1-1 special class program at Glendale for students in grades K through 2. We also expanded integrated co-teaching offerings at the high school. Last school year, we offered resource room at the middle school and expanded it to all of our elementary schools. Go there. Go one more. Oh, right there. Program enrollment. Okay. This chart reflects the current program location and enrollment of students with disabilities. The majority of students are programmed for in-district, and 11% attend out-of-school or out-of-district programs. A small percentage of students are homeschooled, receive home instruction, or attend McKeel Christian Academy, a non-public school located in our district's borders. In addition to school-age students in grades kindergarten through 12, the district also provides services to preschool students ages 3 through 5. This graph shows the number of students receiving services through the Committee on Preschool Special Education and Preschool Continuum of Services. Preschool services are provided through Schenectady County, not through district employees. The district has a partnership with Advanced Therapy and houses a full-day integrated preschool program at Glendale Elementary School. Here's a breakdown of our staffing. The PPS department includes special education teachers, speech and language pathologists, social workers, school psychologists, school nurses, teaching assistants, and teacher aides. The district contracts with Advanced Therapy for occupational and physical therapists and with Wishwe BOCES for a transition coordinator.
So now that we've reviewed our programs and student population, we will focus on our program metrics or data. The district's classification rate, or percentage of students found eligible for special education, has remained relatively stable over the past 3 school years. Classification rates increase through the school year as students are found eligible for special education services. Based on our current beds day enrollment, the classification rate is approximately 16.4%, which reflects the increase in referrals to special education coupled with declining district enrollment. There has been a steady increase in the number of initial CSE referrals. Over the last 2 school years, the number of school referrals remained the same, and the number of parent referrals almost doubled. At the preschool level, there has been a 54% increase in initial referrals over the last 2 school years. As of July 1st of this school year, we have 23 referrals with signed initial consent, and there are 27 more pending referrals. Virtually every district in the capital region is experiencing a sharp increase in preschool referrals. The Committee on Special Education has the legal and ethical obligation to consider placement of a student with a disability in the least restrictive environment to the maximum extent possible. The district met the state targets for the percentage of students with disabilities who spent 80% or more of the school day in general education and those who spent less than 40% of the school day in general education. The district did not meet the state targets for the percentage of students with disabilities placed in separate or self-contained settings. In reviewing the graduation rates for students with disabilities, there was a slight decrease from 69.2% to 65.8%, and both rates fell below the state target. This was followed by a 9% increase, or a graduation rate of 72%. Students with disabilities are eligible for a local diploma through the safety net, or a score of 55 to 64 on a Regents exam. The Board of Regents continues to develop new graduation pathways for students with disabilities. Last school year, students with disabilities had a lower attendance rate compared to general education peers for each school building. To date, the attendance rate for students with disabilities is higher this year than last year. In reviewing 2 years of suspension data, the number of students with disabilities receiving in-school suspensions totaling 10 days or less has remained relatively stable. There was a 44% decrease in the number of students with disabilities receiving out-of-school suspensions for less than 10 days, and the number of students suspended more than 10 days has remained stable at 7 to 8 students. In reviewing New York State test results for the ELA and math grades 3 through 8 exams, the majority of students with disabilities performed at level 1 and 2, which is below proficiency. Students with disabilities scored higher on the grades 4 and 8 science exams, with the majority scoring at level 2 and above. These students receive special education services because they have significant academic skill deficits when compared to same-age peers. And about 1/3 of students with disabilities are classified with a learning disability. For the New York State Regents exams, students with disabilities are eligible for the safety net, or a score of 55 to 64, and this corresponds to level 2 on a Regents exam. For this purpose, we are reporting the percentage of students with disabilities who scored a level 2 or higher. Our students had the highest passing rate on the living environment Regents with 95%, and the lowest passing rate on the algebra Regents with 56%. All students were exempt from the U.S. History Regents in the 2021 to 2022 school year.
All right, now we're going to talk a little bit about our budget. The PPS department budget for the 2023-2024 school year is approximately $14 million. Budgetary revenue sources include the general fund and the IDEA 611 and 619 federal grants. This chart reflects the dollar amount of federal grants over the past 3 school years. Changes to the district's Medicaid practices have resulted in a 114% increase in Medicaid reimbursement to the general fund from $101,000 in 2021-2022 to $216,000 in the 2022-2023 school year. This is largely attributed to the district's billing for psychological counseling services on the IEP. In addition, the district is now billing for initial speech-language evaluations and working to secure lifetime Medicaid consents to claim for services, needed to claim for services. We're going to talk a little bit about and focus on our discussion on departmental strengths, challenges, and areas of focus. Last school year, the district implemented Therapeutic Crisis Interventions for Schools, or TCIS. TCIS helps schools create a trauma-sensitive environment that focuses on proactively preventing and or de-escalating potential crisis situations with students. The majority of PPS staff have been trained, and we are delivering a 2-part district-wide training to all staff on behavior support techniques, recognizing the need to build our capacity to effectively support students' social, emotional needs. Over the past 2 school years, special education teachers received professional development on specially designed instruction, which is adapting the content, methodology, and delivery of instruction to meet the unique learning needs of students. Teachers have made great strides in defining specially designed instruction in the IEP and with creating measurable, skill-based, and targeted IEP goals. We are increasing our capacity to make data-driven decisions and learning tools and methods for progress monitoring IEP goals. Another area of departmental strength is our ability to integrate technology. Last school year, speech-language pathologists and school psychologists transitioned to Q Interactive, which is a digital platform for administrating evaluations utilizing iPads. This resulted in a cost savings to the district, increased engagement from students, and greater efficiency in administration and scoring. As a department, we recently secured the program IXL, which supports teachers in delivering academic intervention. We also secured the premium version of Google ReadWrite, which is a digital tool that supports reading and writing. PPS collaborated with the technology department to expand licenses to the entire district, thus integrating technology into our universal design for learning. Finally, in the speech and language department, we have been building our capacity and receiving training on assistive and augmentative communication, or AAC devices, to better meet the needs of students with severe communication and language deficits.
We will conclude tonight's presentation by highlighting current challenges and areas of focus moving forward. Undoubtedly, the biggest challenge we are facing is our ability to offer appropriate programs to meet the needs of all district students. Currently, we have 6 students on home instruction waiting for an out-of-district program. There are other students who are being maintained in a district program or on an abbreviated schedule while referrals are pending. The out-of-district program shortage coincides with the staffing shortage of highly qualified educators. As a district, we must prioritize the development of new special education programs that meet the needs of our changing student population. A second area of challenge is preschool. The dramatic increase in initial referrals, the lack of preschool evaluators, and the shortage of preschool special education programs. These students will be entering kindergarten in our district buildings, having been underserved at the preschool level, and in some cases, not having received any preschool services during the formative years of development. All districts are considered approved preschool evaluators, and we must explore the implications of creating a multidisciplinary preschool evaluation team. The third challenge we are faced with as a department and as a district is the growing mental health needs of our students and families. We must prioritize our resources to expand TCIS training to general education staff, leverage professional development opportunities, expand partnerships with community organizations, and research and implement social-emotional learning curriculum. Finally, from a budgetary perspective, the department must balance priorities while considering the financial implications of expanding our programs. To accomplish this, we will continue to maximize Medicaid reimbursement, look for opportunities to improve scheduling efficiency, and realign programs and resources to meet the needs of our students. This concludes our board presentation. At this time, we welcome questions and comments.
Thank you very much. That was very informative. Is there anyone who has any questions?
Yeah.
So we contract with Capital Region BOCES as our primary, but we also have relationships with private schools like Charlton School, Oak Hill. I'm sure I'm forgetting one or two.
Yeah, Center for Disability Services, Wildwood, really any approved private school or BOCES program within, I would say within an hour radius. Certainly, we always look closer and then expand our search further.
Basically, we have to exhaust the programs through Capital Region BOCES first before we can look to other BOCES programs. So we're referring to like Questar BOCES or HFM. HFF. Yes, HFF BOCES. Or Wish Me BOCES.
I apologize if I missed you said there's an asterisk here. Is it just projected or I didn't see where that was actually referenced. What that
Okay, yep. So when we presented data, so the previous school years, we're really presenting the end of the year data. And on these charts, if you see where it says 23, 24, most of that data was taken as of Beds Day, as of October 4th, 2023. And even, 6 weeks later or so, some of those numbers have certainly changed.
just looking. That might be it.
And it is further defined in the actual program review.
As far as the preschool evaluation problem, are other districts having that same issue?
Absolutely. So right now, like I said, we have already 23 evals or 23 signed initial consents at preschool. We have 27 more pending. They're pending because we're waiting for families to register, or they've registered and we're waiting to receive the parents' signed consent. Once we receive signed consent, we have 60 days to conduct an evaluation, and right now they are booking into March. And that is not, it's everywhere, it seems like.
And are there any proposed solutions that people are talking about? And anywhere, not just here?
Yeah, there's other districts within Schenectady County that have gone through the process to become, to get reimbursed through Schenectady County. So as I said, every district, in the state's eyes is considered an approved preschool evaluator. But the reality is, right, we have like 5 school psychologists in district, 9 speech language pathologists. For us to take on the capacity to start doing preschool evaluations, certainly has an implication for our resources. We certainly can. And then districts who start doing that, certainly you can get reimbursed through the county, Schenectady County, at set rates. So some districts have started to go through the process of becoming an approved evaluator. They kind of only use their district staff as maybe, kind of the last resort if we think we're going to go beyond our timeline and be out of compliance. Other districts have had their own set preschool multidisciplinary evaluation team, and that is their go-to. They really don't even need to utilize the other preschool evaluators on the county approved list.
For the last 2 years, though, this has been a conversation when we go to our CSE directors meetings over at BOCES, where people are reporting this concern to our regional associates.
Nope, Emily asked my question.
I have a question about the continuum services by school page that you had up there, where it talks about what school has what. Can you explain what the integrated co-teaching is?
Sure. So integrated co-teaching means that there's a general education teacher and a special education teacher. Both are teacher of record. They share instructional responsibilities for all the students within the classroom. But special education teacher certainly is servicing the students in the classroom who have an IEP.
Okay, now, you said Lincoln has it. How many classes have that at Lincoln?
I think
All grade
classes,
levels
yes.
except kindergarten this year does not have it.
Right.
Okay, and it says Sacandaga has it. How many classes have it?
Grade levels, every grade level.
Every grade level, right.
Every grade level?
Yeah.
Now, when you say every grade level, are you talking about every teacher in every grade? Like, for example, one grade
Oh,
level has
one
3
section.
classes?
No.
Or you
One
just
section
mean
at
one
each grade
section?
level.
Okay, and is that the same for Lincoln as well?
Some of Lincoln's grade levels have 2 sections within a grade level.
And what about the middle school?
Middle school offers integrated co-teaching in all grade levels in all content areas, so English, science, social studies, and math.
And I'm assuming the same for high school as well?
No.
No, not the high school has it in English 9, English 10, English 11. New this year, we have it in Global 9 and Global 10. We have in Algebra 1, Part 1, and then Algebra 1, which is the second part. In both we have an algebra with a lab and without a lab. And then living environment.
So to be clear, in the middle school, we're offering it all content areas across grades 6 through 8, but we only have, in some cases, 1 section per grade level. So it's not every, I don't want the perception to be that every class is a co-taught class. That's not accurate.
Okay. And now, what is the direct consultant teacher?
It's similar to there is a special education teacher supporting students with IEPs within a general education setting. The difference is the direct consult is specific to the student. So they're not supporting the entire class. They're there to support a specific student or 2 or 3 within the room.
Okay. And how many does Glendale have?
I'd have to get that answer back to you. I don't know the exact number of.
Yeah, Glendale
That's IEP specific driven.
Glendale has about a section at each grade level except kindergarten? Can't remember now.
Yeah.
We can certainly get back to you with specific information regarding the number of consultant teacher sections, but I believe 1 at each grade level. I can't recall kindergarten right now.
Okay, and what about with Glen Warden? Do you know the numbers for that?
Glen Warden has it 1 section at each grade level. They don't have any grades where there's 2 sections. And I believe there are no first graders at Glen Warden.
And then what about Sacandaga?
Sacandaga, as we said, has a section of co-teaching at each grade level. They also have, there's a student who I think is 2nd grade who receives direct consultant teacher services. And that really is their only section of direct consultant teacher at Sacandaga.
Okay. And then can you explain a little more about the special classes?
Sure. So special class indicates that, first of all students within the classroom have an IEP. They're all identified students. The number that you see, the lead number, represents the maximum number of students that are allowed without any kind of variance. So that's the program ratio. The number in the middle, 1, represents the teacher, and the subsequent number 1 or 2 or 3 represents additional staff within the room. That can largely be a teaching assistant or a teacher aide. We are moving towards and trying to prioritize teaching assistants in all of those programs, just because they offer increased opportunities for educational support.
And how is it determined that a school is going to have special classes as these? Because I see here, obviously, 2 elementary schools have them, while 2 don't.
Well, the special class, I want to also be clear on, especially at the elementary level, that's not just specific to students at Glendale. You can be a district resident at any one of our schools and attend that program. The exact history behind how we assign those programs to individual schools, I don't have a clear answer on that. I can tell you that some of it has to do with spacing, some of it has to do with the levels of student need within the building themselves. But again, the IEP itself can drive that service or that student to wherever the service is located.
The reason I'm asking all these questions is partially because I don't have a background in this, so I want to know what exactly each of these things are, other than just numbers. But I'm also interested because in our September 11th board meeting, we had, Drew provided us with really good information regarding how much we were spending per school and how much we were spending per student. And in looking at the numbers from how much is spent per student, Sacandaga appears to be the lowest number per student by about $1,500. And when I had asked that question back in September, partially it was because of the special education reasoning behind that. So I guess I was interested when I saw that Sacandaga seemed to have all the things except for the special class to be helping students who are in the special education arena, why the numbers are as they are, because looking at the numbers that we've been given, Glen Warden and Glendale appear to pay more or spend more per student. Lincoln spends more, and again, it was explained to me because of the special education, but it seems like we're doing a lot of similar things between the schools. So I don't know if you have a comment to that, or is this just something I need to now peruse on my own and try to figure out, talking to Drew and Susan, but I don't know if you had anything to add to that.
Yeah, certainly, as a general trend, the smaller the student to staff ratio, the more costly a program would be. So if you have an 8:1:2 ratio, like that's Glen Warden, a developmental skills program, it's going to cost more to run that program than a student who's in an integrated co-teaching program. In the program, the actual board report that you received, there is a chart in there that shows how many special ed students are in each of our district buildings. Sacandaga, I think, reflects, I want to say maybe 16 on that chart. And so certainly it tends to be the population of students in Sacandaga versus a school like Glen Warden. The population size is also a variable that will impact the pupil spending, as well as, again, the size of the class, the student to teacher ratio. There's certainly other costs. For example, students who have related services, speech, occupational therapy, counseling, that all becomes part of that program cost. So there's a lot of different factors to consider. When you look at the state average, again, it's not in this presentation, but it's in your board report. There is a slide that has per pupil expenditures, and compared to other districts within Schenectady County, looking at special ed students, we are spending, I think it was roughly $1,500 to $2,000 more per special education student, but we are kind of under what the state average is for that per student spending.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
When I first came here and Mr. Hampton was here at one point, actually Mr. Albanese and then Mr. Hampton, at one point we were trying to group students who had similar needs into similar schools, since we knew we couldn't manage to offer the full continuum of services in every school. So Lincoln has traditionally, for example, been our co-taught school, although Katie and Anthony are doing a really excellent job of developing services that meet kids' needs so that we're not moving children around. But it's very similar to what we do with our English language learners. If you come to district, regardless of your catchment area, if you're a English language learner in grades K through 5, you go to Sacandaga, because there's our full-time ENL teacher is there. So part of it, I think, initially had to do with trying to best use our services to meet kids' needs, but that meant moving some kids to schools other than our home school.
Thank you.
I was wondering if you could give me just a little bit on what's happening with speech. I've heard from people that there aren't enough speech teachers to get their kids into speech once they've been classified, and that once they lose classification, it used to be that they would get a little bit of time with a speech teacher for a little bit of speech improvement to keep it going, and that's not happening anymore. So I was just wondering what our situation is as far as speech.
So the first part of your question was, you were saying once students are classified, that they're not receiving special speech services?
Well, they have to wait, and they're having trouble finding teachers to take them on.
I don't know that that's the, I'm trying to think about maybe some of the different district buildings, but right now, all of our students with IEPs receive speech services. I don't know if you're thinking of maybe a situation where a student might be on home instruction.
Well, this was like mid-year and preschool. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, if it's preschool, that's definitely a different situation, because again, our district employees don't service preschool. Preschool services are provided through Schenectady County. So if it's a
That
preschool,
includes the speech.
correct, all preschool services, yes. And again, at the preschool level, it is rough all the way around. So if this is a preschool student, then absolutely. They may be found eligible for preschool services, and they're on pretty long wait lists, especially for speech, right? Speech is a common need with our little kiddos. So if some of them just have only speech needs, their level of need doesn't warrant like an integrated program or a self-contained preschool program. But I mean, the wait list for preschool speech was dozens deep last year.
What about the speech improvement once our elementary kids are off of speech therapy? Are they still getting that speech, or has it changed the way you deliver it?
No, we always have some services that are available through general education, so like occupational therapy, speech improvement services. What can vary every year is just the needs in the building. So we do have one elementary building this year that historically was able to provide some speech improvement, but because the number of IEP needs in the building is higher than anticipated, this provider is only just recently hoping to start taking on some speech improvement students. But historically, our buildings, do provide speech improvement services. It's a matter of, I guess, scheduling and the availability of that provider. We also have other models where we're, especially at the early primary years, we're pushing into like a kindergarten classroom, delivering some lessons, because the needs that we see, taking a look at that kindergarten screening data, the needs are more kind of tier one. Like all students are in need of certain strategies and supports. So they're not always pull-out services for speech improvement. We do have like classroom presentations that the speech language pathologist will deliver.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Anything else? Thank you very much. This was, as I said earlier, very informative, and it was really good for us, especially the new board members, I would think, to get some of this background. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have our superintendent comments. Susan?
Thank you. Board members might be aware, might recall that board member recognition week typically falls in October. That's when it's scheduled. But I want you to know that your board recognition week is going to fall in December at our next meeting. So don't think that we have forgotten you. We are going to honor you at that meeting. The second thing I would want to let folks know is that Glendale has been ranked 6 out of 14 elementary schools by Channel 10. This is part of U.S. News and World Report's larger report about exemplary elementary and middle schools. And then Channel 10 took that data and condensed it by regions, and Glendale is on that list of elementary schools. So very interesting and good information, and very positive, of course, for John and his staff, so we're pleased about that. And then the only other thing I want to recognize is the Turkey Talent Show, our traditional Turkey Talent Show, which was the Tuesday before break. Unfortunately, I couldn't go, but everybody who went has told me, Mr. Bednarik, it was quite a lively and one of the best shows we've had.
Certainly one of the best.
That's what I've heard. So,
Yeah, how do you get invited to that? I didn't know that, I didn't realize they did a kind of a preview the night before until I heard people talking about it.
Yeah, the night before is really a dress rehearsal for the kids, and it's not really an open invitation. We try to just have parents of students who are in the show usually. They may in future years open that up a little bit more, but we really didn't have like full-on supervision to have an open performance. But it was parents of, that's why it wasn't advertised. It was just parents of students who were accepted into the town show. They get a chance to run through all the acts, and then we have it for the students on the day before.
Thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh,
I just,
oh, no.
everyone was talking about it and I was pouting because I didn't get to go. So, all right. Thank you.
We will make sure that
Oh,
next year, just remember, the day before recess,
okay.
that afternoon,
I'll
about
be there.
1:30.
Board members probably wouldn't cause too much of a problem.
I don't know. I don't know.
We would hope. And that does it for me, Pam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll now move on to our motions. And first of all, we have the approval of deposit of the College Board rebate check. Could I please have a motion to accept this?
A motion for the approval of the deposit of the College Board rebate check and relocation to the Counselor Lise Williams for honorarium advancement placement coordinator work. That was a long one.
Thank you, Kim.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, number 7, is the development of some science courses. Could I have a motion, please?
I move that we approve the agreement by and between the Scotia-Glenville School District and Diana Shanty.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, Emily, and second was. Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments?
I just want to say how great it is that we offer these classes. They're so, so, so important. This field is short of workers, on the verge of collapse. So it's great that we have these.
I had a couple questions. I just wanted to know the background of this, and it also says that they're going to be working with somebody who, or I thought I read that it was maybe in the separate copy I read that can be working with another teacher who's already working with the district. Do we know who that is? Will they be receiving a stipend? All of those kind of things.
Diana developed the introduction to medicine and the forensics course creation. So she is working with one of her, and Diana was our science teacher, so she was one of our science teachers. She's working with one of our other teachers to transfer that knowledge so that those courses can continue because they really are very popular with students. So no stipend to the other teacher, and Diana's working as a contracted employee.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, number 8 is the acceptance and appropriation of the gift and donation from the Lincoln School PTA. Could I have a motion?
I move to accept and appropriate the gift and donation from Lincoln PTA with thanks.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments here? Be interesting to see how if there's an improvement with offering ice cream. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Now, numbers 9 and 10 have us renewing our cooperative purchasing service with electricity and for natural gas. Could I have a motion for these, please?
I would actually like to move to table these two items for 9 and 10 because both of these agreements refer back to a May of 2005 agreement that took place. And as I've previously asked, whenever there's to be an agreement, a referendum, amendment, extension of some sort of other agreement, that we receive the original agreement to be able to look at it as well. And that didn't happen in this case. So I'd like to table it until the next meeting on December 11th so we could obtain that item, those that agreement so we can review it in comparison with these?
Well, I'm going to ask Drew to speak because since I sent my email, since we sent 2 emails today, Drew has pulled together a little bit more that he can certainly talk about. So Drew, could you discuss how long we've been with OCM and what goes on?
Since 2005, but the first one I brought to the board was in 2009, and then every 3 years, usually I bring it to the board, these resolutions and agreements. We have a COSER with the Onondaga, Cortland County, Madison, BOCES to enter into a gas and electric consortium purchase. We're one of 180 districts that participate in this. The contracts are vetted by attorneys. Nothing's changed other than basically who the supplier is going to be and the rates. And if you read the energy analysis that I bring every year to you, you'll see the benefit of what these consortiums yield as far as energy savings. If we don't do this, you'll have an adverse hit to your budgets. You'll have to go out on our own and pay by what you're paying. So nothing's changed in what I brought to you since 2009. I was able to, on my own time after work today, to go on it's a public website, OCM BOCES, which you all could do, and you can pull off the 05 agreement. I've got it here. It's not signed, but it's a template that every of the 180 districts gets. So it's what a consortium is. It's not an independent, but we have to act as a local board to authorize the district to participate in this cooperative bid.
So,
If you want to see it, I'll pass it around, the 05, but I pulled it off at 5:30 tonight. So
if we table it till December, is that enough time? Or is there like a
it
deadline?
has to go to them by the 15th. We meet on the 11th. If something should go wrong, we don't meet. We don't participate in that bid. You're going to see a big hit to your budgets. So that's why I bring it to you early.
Yeah, I think December, you don't know what the weather's going to be like,
Yeah.
so you can't count on the fact that we could definitely do it at the next meeting. This is,
Certainly we can scan you the agreement.
I have to say though that I continuously ask the same thing every time we have an agreement to please provide the original agreement. And I've been told every single time the next time it will happen, and then it doesn't happen again. And
I never said that. I gave my answer to the board when I was asked. I never said I would bring 20-year-old agreements, or that's what addendums are. You've acted on them before. So, and you pay for this COSER, A1620-49001, about $8,000 a year to work with OCM BOCES to do our energy management. So,
and a document that refers back to another document on several issues.
but that's why we have attorneys that review this stuff, and then I bring it to the board. That's my response.
But they're not the ones voting on it. I am, and the others are voting on it. They can, and everybody else can disagree with me, and that's completely fine. That's why we all vote. I'm just stating my position on this.
this is one that I personally have seen come before the board since before Drew was here. And it's always, been the same and been accepted because it's a nice, good way to work together and save money. And so we have to make a decision whether we're going to table it and take the chance, or if we're going to accept it as it is, and then we can go back and look at, he said it's online, you can get it.
I got it right here.
You got it right there.
What would be when you say take a chance, what's the risk? What would be the downside of?
If we don't have a meeting to accept it before December 15th, we're going to lose a lot of money.
No, I guess my question is more to you. What is it? Is there something specifically that you're concerned about that it might be in here?
I'm reading a document that refers back to another document that I've never seen in my life, and you're asking me to vote on it. And this isn't the first time that that's happened.
Right.
Again, people don't have to agree with me. Somebody doesn't even have to second my motion to table. But though that is my concern, is that I'm voting on a document, or they're being asked to vote on a document, which refers back to another document that I have not read.
And I guess, and I know we have to, if we just let things go the way they've been going for 20 years, we don't know that people are necessarily doing their due diligence or doing their jobs. So I understand that we want to know what's going on that maybe we're not seeing. But so every time we approve something for a new employee, We don't ask to see their application and their resume, and because there's already been somebody who's done all of that legwork and brought it to us. So we have to have some sort of confidence, I guess, that all these people, that they're only bringing this to us because all of that has already been done.
Right.
But I think I'm with you also, because I don't want to just, blindly just approve everything either. But I think we have to find some kind of, because I think we're going to have the same conversation, and we should probably.
You want to see every BOCES coaster? That's a contract. There's $5 million of BOCES contract. How many special ed? You want to see every individual contract? It's not going to happen.
Right.
But you approve those BOCES AS7s every year without looking at every coaster. You look at a macro of what we're committing to. You approve $10 million in health insurance contracts, Highmark and CDPH, which I do. That's my authority. You want to see every individual's contract, subscriber contract. This is the same. This has been vetted. It's a BOCES consortium, 180 school districts. For 20 years, we've done it this way. It's not about cutting corners. It's what you pay us to do. And if you don't do this by the 5th, we're out.
Right. No, I'm
No,
not disagreeing with you.
We're out of the bid. They don't need us. They got 179 other districts. We need them.
So we're out for good. We're out for good or out till next?
We're out for 4 years.
Okay.
I think, as Emily said, there comes a point on some of this stuff that you have to trust the people who you hired to do this, and trust your lawyers who have vetted it and accept it. And if a single person wants to go see it, that's fine. But I personally don't feel like the whole board needs to approve all these things again after the people who we hired to do it have done their jobs and it's been checked by the lawyers. I'm not saying she can't see it. Drew has it right there for her to see. But I'm thinking to hold up approval of this item is wrong. I think we should go ahead and vote.
Well, I made the motion, and if nobody seconds it, then we have to move forward with the vote.
Is there a second to her motion? All right, then her motion will not come before the board, and I need a motion to accept the resolutions 9 and 10 as submitted.
I'll make a motion that we accept resolutions 9 and 10 to authorize Scotia-Glenville Central School District's participation in the cooperative purchasing service agreements for electricity and natural gas.
Second,
I'll
please.
second.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. No, any noes?
I'll abstain.
Okay, you'll abstain. Thank you. Now move on to communications and staffing.
I'll move communications A through C, staffing 1 through 8, placement of children and disabilities. And can I move the minutes at the same time or no?
Go ahead.
I'll move the minutes for 10-23 and 10-23-23.
Second.
Second.
Thanks, Dave. Okay. Any questions or comments on any of these?
I had a question on the minutes.
Okay.
1 second, I have it right here. For some reason, it needs to be amended. I think my name's missing. It's present.
If you look down about 3 or 4 lines down into it, they'll say that you arrived at like 7:04 or something.
I think it was here on time for this. Yeah, that's another one. That's a different one. I think that was the beginning of October. I wasn't here at that time.
Okay.
I think this one I was here.
Bobby, can you?
Thank you, Bobby. October 23. Thank you.
Cindy, would you, as amended,
I will motion to
the
Have-
amendments as
make amendment as needed.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that takes us over to number 13, routine business under the budget transfers. We have July, August, September, and October transfers here. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, I will ask that it be filed for audit. We also have the treasurer's report for July, August, and September. Any questions on those? Okay, I will also ask that those be filed for audit. Next, we have a bid. Could I have a motion?
A motion to accept the bid, that the Board of Education approve the bid for pupil transportation to the Raja Group in accordance with specifications and their low bid as submitted.
Second?
I'll second, but a question first.
Well, second first and then questions.
All right, second, a second.
Okay, question? Go ahead.
So I know Drew told me the first company we had was an emergency at the time.
Amazing Grace.
So the other two companies don't want to come back to us for the bid, or does it didn't put in for it?
How many bid? They did bid? Same company that had the 30-day. Got this one.
That was a different company name though.
They go by a couple different, it's like
Amazing Grace.
Monopoly, no. Okay, I just saw the cost difference was a little higher than before, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, I thought the cost was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if that's all you can get,
Yeah, you notice the last fiscal projection, we're over budget by over 200,000 on that line for these out-of-district runs. They're twice the cost, like were they $800 a day, some of these, yeah. But gotta get the kids to program, so
That's it, thank you.
you're welcome.
any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Now we're down to other business. Anybody have any other business to bring before the board tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our second hearing and privileges floor. Same rules as the first time. Anybody want to address the board? Okay, seeing no one, I will close the hearing and privilege of the floor. Could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Kimmy. Second?
A second.
Thank you.
Got it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. We'll see you on December 11th.
Thank you.
Just